First, let me say, welcome to the greater St. Tammany metropolitan area.
St. Tammany Parish is absolutely a driver of the state's economy.
We do have a crisis for workforce housing. We have a crisis for moderate-priced homes.
What does it mean for St. Tammany to be a region? I like to say that, there's a lot of local problems that I think we all care about: economic development, housing, transportation, environmental management, disaster resiliency. These local problems are actually regional problems if you think about it.
Our criminal justice system is second to none, and we want to continue to do such. People move here because they feel safe. People move here because of the quality of schools and, again, the quality of health care that we provide.
Has continued to grow its economy in the 2 decades since Hurricane Katrina. With more businesses and jobs available today, fewer residents need to make the daily commute to work in other parishes. This internal growth is transforming St. Tammany once again. The new census designation arguably puts St. Tammany on its own center stage, creating both opportunities and obligations to plan for growth and economic change. Our discussion today will dive into what this new designation means, what opportunities have arisen because of it, and how parish officials can manage the growth and modernize government for this new era.
Okay, so what is a metropolitan statistical area? If you hear somebody like me talking about a regional economy or a metro, or making comparisons between like Phoenix and Milwaukee and Miami, we're usually using these things called metropolitan statistical areas, or MSAs. It's just a grouping of counties and parishes that are designated by the federal government, mainly for statistical purposes. That's the official definition right there: an area containing a large population nucleus or urban area and adjacent communities that have a high degree of integration with that nucleus. So unlike counties or parishes or municipalities, MSAs are not political entities. Rather, they're meant to capture the nebulous notion of an urbanized region. And that means cities, suburbs, small towns that are close to each other and very related. I'm an economist. I like to think in terms of markets. These are places that have shared and integrated housing markets, labor markets, supplier and product markets for businesses, markets for traffic on the highways, and so on and so forth. And then the other piece of the puzzle is commuting patterns. And this is really the thing that's changed. So the magic number here is 25%. If more than 25% of the workers of a county commute into the central part of another MSA, which in this case would be, and used to be, South Shore urban area around New Orleans, then that is considered an outlying county in that MSA. So this is exactly what's changed. In the last time they did the major update, St. Tammany was a little bit above 25%, and now it's a little bit below. That's really the only thing that's changed. That's the one line takeaway for why this is happening. If we look at the strong industries in St. Tammany on the top side, we see things like retail, food services, construction, healthcare. What do these industries have in common? They're industries where the demand is really led by the local population. So if somebody like me looks at a chart like this, I'm thinking that a lot of St. Tammany's economic strengths, at least in terms of this measure, a lot of its growth has come from its population growth. Whereas if we think about the sort of like classical economic sense of what is a region, it's really those economic engines, those driver regions that drive the local economy and that create population growth. So,
We open with a very general question for President Cooper and Chris. So you just heard Robbie's presentation. Speaking generally, what opportunities and responsibilities or obligations do you see as a result of this census change?
Well, first let me say, welcome to the greater St. Tammany metropolitan area.
Right.
We indeed see challenges with growth and development. As I've said many times, growth and development is outpacing the infrastructure that we're able to provide. We continue to invest in road, bridge, drainage infrastructure, water and sewer infrastructure to meet those needs, as well as planning initiatives to address how we're going to grow in the future. We recognize how we've been growing. I noted that in 1970, our population was 65,000 people. I was here in 1970, and I remember when our parish was at that stage, but now we're over 275,000, and we're going to continue to grow, and we're going to have to continue to make these important investments.
I'm going to piggyback a little bit real quickly, and Becky, you just stopped me as we want to transition, because I think the president made a very important point. The other thing that I would stress to you from my perspective is that St. Tammany Parish is absolutely a driver of the state's economy. I mean, the reality is that just in the 6.5 years that we have instituted a whole new perspective of economic development. When I got here, our GDP was 12.3, 12.4 billion. We're now over 15 billion. We know just in the last 5 years, we've grown the size of the city of Slidell alone. We also know that we have a transition in our economy, quite frankly, that we've been seeing for the last 7 to 10 years that Robbie will point out to you. The reality is that the opportunity for major business investment is still on the horizon. And address these critical issues that have been pain points for the people of St. Tammany for a long time. Because with that increased opportunity in business investment, it actually accelerates the opportunity to address a lot of these issues because of what we know happens when businesses come in. We lower the tax burden on the residents of St. Tammany, which is right now, the residents of St. Tammany, the households are really shepherding that cost. And we need to equal that out even more.
What have been the effects of St. Tammany's population and business growth on the parish budget and the effective delivery of
As we continue to grow new homes and new residential development is an important aspect for St. Tammany Parish. Business development, that all provides new revenue for St. Tammany Parish. That revenue is then in turn put back into growth. And the UDC, the Unified Development Code, was a rewrite of our codes for development and growth in building. That was in process when I took office, but in the last 4 years, many people in here joined forces to provide ideas to have better codes, better policies, and to streamline the processes for permitting, for residential permitting, for development. And as I said, we continue to seek ways of streamlining our systems and policies.
Okay, so Robbie and Chris, let's talk about the broader North Shore region. What connections are you seeing develop between St. Tammany and Tangipahoa and Washington parishes, as well as Livingston and St. Helena to the west? What opportunities exist for greater cooperation and planning?
I think in a practical matter, one of the things that we realized when we kicked off our strategic plan is that the connectivity that we have, both in strategy, both in opportunity, and the workforce connection. The reality is that Tangipahoa and Washington parishes have significant assets for us that we can leverage as we're attracting economic development projects. Let's take Washington Parish, for example. Washington Parish has a lot of natural resources. That is a major competitive advantage when we're working certain types of projects. We can leverage that. Businesses can be here, they can tap into those resources, or vice versa. As we've seen a decline in the housing development in St. Tammany Parish, and we have, permits are on the decline as it relates to housing because of a lot of different reasons, and we can probably get into some of that here. But the reality is that they can go 5 minutes to the west or to the north, make these projects a reality, and then we can still have the opportunity to put the businesses here, or vice versa. The businesses can be in Tangipahoa, and we can get, our people can have an opportunity to do that. We know that in some cases, our folks will drive 90 miles one way for a job. Now, that's not the majority, but the reality is that is certainly the case in some of our industry sectors. We know that when we started this exercise with the first Thrive 2023, there was over 30,000 people that came in to really support our economy in St. Tammany Parish. Well, when you start diving into that, why is 32,000 people having to come in here? Well, there's a few reasons. One, they can't afford to live here. There's no housing. There's no workforce housing. And as we've tried to address some of the infrastructure issues, as we've tried to put policies in place to tamper that neighborhood development, housing development, until we can get a handle on a few things, it has absolutely had an impact. And as a result of that, those neighborhoods are being built in our parish next door to us. And we know that Washington Parish has a strategy. They're trying to work with developers like, hey, just come drive north 5 minutes, build it here, and you can still drive into St. Tammany. Because here's the reality as well, and Robbie, you may touch on this. Those people in those parishes are actually driving into St. Tammany for their services, for their groceries, for their jobs, and in some cases, their kids are going to school here. Now, the thing that we have to be careful about is that Babineaux, when they get their education system, and they're on the heels of making some major advancements in their education system, when they get that right, we need to be on the lookout because they're going to be nipping at our heels, and they already are.
President Cooper, we also wanted to put the question directly to you. Do you think we have a housing crisis brewing in St. Tammany, and what's the plan?
So, as Chris mentioned, we do have a crisis for workforce housing. We have a crisis for moderate-priced homes, and we've been meeting with the local home builders group that has stressed the need that they want to help solve the crisis. Of course, we have zoning issues. We have, is property zoned correctly? Are there wetlands? Where should development continue, whether it be workforce housing or any type of development? Where should development move to? We know that properties along the I-12 corridor, we know properties along our major state highways are pretty much developed. So where do we go from here? Where do we move where there's infrastructure? Where do we move where utilities are going to be available? Where the zoning will be accepted for higher density residential development, whether it be single family development or multi-family development that's affordable, where the needs of filling positions at the hospitals, in our schools, in our retail businesses, where will that come from? The housing study will assist us, but also the zoning, reviewing our zoning plan, our land use plans, to determine where growth can take place that we can provide the needs of residential, particularly workforce housing.
Can you talk about the impact of low crime rates for growth and development and the ability to attract new businesses? And we'll throw that open to anybody.
Thanks for asking that question for me, Councilman. Just as I said, we pride ourselves on our law enforcement, our sheriff's office, our municipal police departments. Our criminal justice system is second to none, and we want to continue to do such. People move here because they feel safe. People move here because of the quality of schools and, again, the quality of health care that we provide. We're going to continue to do and continue to provide the improvements that we need to attract young families here, to attract grandparents here who are moving here to be with their grandkids. We're going to continue to do what we can to keep the quality of life here. And each and every one of you in this room can help us do that.